Arrival of the bride, Princess Leonor's all-white royal wedding look. The world went silent for a heartbeat. Cameras froze. The crowd held its breath. And then, she appeared. The golden doors of Almedina Cathedral slowly opened, revealing a vision that seemed almost unreal. Princess Leonor of Spain, future queen, daughter of King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia, stood at the threshold, radiant in pure white. The kind of white that doesn't just symbolize purity, but destiny. For a moment, even time seemed to pause. Because everyone had expected elegance. Everyone had expected royal grace. But no one, absolutely no one, was prepared for what they saw that morning in Madrid. This wasn't just a bridal look. It was a statement. A declaration. The future Queen of Spain stepping into history, not just as a bride, but as a monarch in waiting. And yet, the most surprising detail wasn't the dress itself, it was the emotion that came with it. Leonor, often known for her composure and regal calm, appeared deeply moved. Behind that serene expression was a young woman balancing two worlds, duty and love, tradition and modernity, Spain and Denmark. The moment she stepped from the royal carriage, you could feel the shift. The crowd that had been chanting her name fell completely quiet. Even the wind seemed to stop moving. And there she was, in an all-white ensemble that broke centuries of royal convention. No color accents. No embroidered symbolism. Just layers of white silk, satin, and lace, crafted with the precision of a queen and the delicacy of a dream. But why all white? Why strip away the golds, the silvers, the traditional Spanish reds that have always adorned royal brides? Because Leonor wasn't just walking toward her groom. She was walking toward a new chapter for the Spanish monarchy. Let's go back to the beginning of this extraordinary day. It was early morning in Madrid. The streets surrounding the royal palace and Almedina Cathedral were overflowing with people. Royal watchers from across Europe had gathered, flags of Spain and Denmark waving side by side. Reporters whispered that this would be the wedding of the century. And inside the palace, in a suite filled with white roses and the scent of gardenias, Princess Leonor was preparing. Her mother, Queen Letizia, stood beside her, composed but emotional. The queen, known for her perfection and discipline, was visibly proud. She had watched her eldest daughter grow from a quiet child into a strong, compassionate young woman ready to lead a nation. Leonor's gown was designed by a Spanish couturier whose identity remained a mystery until that morning. What we now know is that the design process took over a year, using fabrics sourced entirely from Spanish ateliers. The gown featured a fitted bodice with long, sculpted sleeves, a subtle boat neckline, and a sweeping cathedral-length train that glimmered softly under the light. Every stitch was symbolic. Every fold carried meaning. The lace along the hem was embroidered with olive branches and fleur-de-lis motifs, representing peace and monarchy. Hidden within the silk lining were the initials, L, and C, entwined together in gold thread, a secret tribute to Crown Prince Christian of Denmark. But the real surprise was the veil. Unlike past royal brides, Leonor's veil wasn't borrowed or inherited, it was newly created, made of Spanish silk tulle and hand-embroidered by artisans from Granada. At its edge, the emblems of Spain and Denmark were delicately woven together, a quiet yet powerful symbol of two nations united through love. As the final touches were made, a knock came at the door. King Felipe entered, dressed in full military uniform. For a moment, the powerful king and the poised princess simply looked at each other. Then, in a gesture that melted hearts across the world, Felipe took his daughter's hand and whispered, "You are ready, mi reina." Those words would echo through history. Outside, as the royal carriage began its slow procession through the streets of Madrid, the crowd erupted in cheers. Petals filled the air. Leonor, seated gracefully beside her father, looked out at her people, not as a distant royal, but as their future queen. Her calm smile, her gentle wave, it was a moment of unity. When the carriage reached the cathedral steps, the anticipation reached its peak. The music shifted to the Grand Royal March. The trumpets announced her arrival. Every camera in the world turned to her. And then, Leonor stepped out. The train of her gown flowed behind her like a river of light. The veil caught the breeze, creating the illusion that she was almost gliding. The sunlight hit her gown, creating a halo effect that made her seem ethereal. The crowd gasped. Some cried. Others simply stood frozen, knowing they were witnessing something historic. Leonor took her father's arm, her eyes glistening but calm. Together, they ascended the cathedral steps. Every step was symbolic, a journey from daughter to leader, from royal heir to royal bride. Inside, Crown Prince Christian waited. The moment he saw her, his expression changed completely. Gone was the composed royal demeanor. In its place, pure emotion. His eyes filled with tears, and a small, unguarded smile appeared. As Leonor walked down the aisle, you could feel the emotion ripple through the crowd. The music softened. The light seemed to follow her. It wasn't just a wedding entrance, it was the birth of a new royal chapter. Even seasoned royals, Queen Margrethe of Denmark, Queen Sophia, and Queen Mary, were seen dabbing their eyes. It was that powerful. When she finally reached Christian, she paused. The two shared a quiet moment, just a heartbeat of silence before the ceremony began. And that single moment, eyes locked, hands joined, summed up everything this union represented. It wasn't about politics or alliances. It wasn't about duty or legacy. It was about love that transcended it all. As the ceremony continued, Leonor's gown remained the silent narrator of her story. The soft gleam of the fabric under the cathedral's stained glass reflected her poise and purity. The simplicity of the design spoke volumes about her character, modern, confident, yet deeply respectful of tradition. Observers later said that Leonor's choice of all white was deliberate. It was a visual message, a reset. A declaration of renewal for the Spanish crown. By choosing purity and simplicity, she was signaling transparency, unity, and peace. When she knelt beside Christian during the blessing, her veil spread around her like a circle of light. Even the clergy paused, visibly moved. But perhaps the most touching moment came when the archbishop declared them husband and wife. As Leonor rose, she looked at her parents, her mother smiling through tears, her father standing proudly, and then turned to face her new husband. In that moment, she wasn't just a princess. She was a woman stepping into her destiny. Outside, as the couple exited the cathedral, the bells of Madrid rang louder than they had in decades. Confetti filled the air. The sound of cheers and music spread through the city. The crowd chanted her name. Leonor, Leonor. And when she turned to wave, the sunlight caught her veil again, creating one last, unforgettable image that would circle the globe within minutes. But the magic didn't end there. Later, during the balcony appearance at the royal palace, Leonor's gown was once again the focus of the world's attention. Side by side with Christian, she appeared serene, joyful, and entirely queenly. Her smile told 1,000 stories, of love, courage, and the weight of history carried with grace. Fashion critics worldwide hailed it as the most iconic royal wedding look since Grace Kelly. Designers praised the decision to use only Spanish craftsmanship. And cultural commentators noted how Leonor had managed to redefine what royal elegance meant for a new generation. It wasn't opulent. It wasn't overdone. It was timeless. And that's what made it unforgettable. Because sometimes, power doesn't need color. Authority doesn't need jewels. Sometimes, a simple white gown says it all. It speaks of beginnings, of peace, of unity. And as the night fell over Madrid, and the palace lights shimmered behind her, Princess Leonor, now Her Royal Highness the Princess of Denmark and future Queen of Spain, stood as the embodiment of everything a modern royal should be. Strong, graceful, real. Her all-white look wasn't just fashion, it was her story. A reflection of the woman behind the crown. A symbol of a new era in Spanish royalty. And for those who witnessed her arrival that day, they didn't just see a bride. They saw history dressed in white.